Welcome to the channel Old Glory Coins. What if I told you that the spare change rattling around in your cup holder right now could be worth more than your car, your house, or even your wildest dreams combined? Most people grab a handful of quarters, toss them on the counter without a second thought, completely unaware that one innocent-looking coin could be hiding a fortune so staggering it would make headlines across the nation. Today we're diving into a coin so deceptive, so ordinary in appearance, that millions of people have held it in their hands and never realized they were holding a ticket to financial freedom. This is the story of the 2022 D-State Quarter, and believe it or not, this modern marvel has been valued at an absolutely mind-blowing $77 million. Yes, you heard that right. $77 million for a quarter that was minted just a couple of years ago, a coin that's still actively circulating in everyday transactions across America. Now I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? How can something so recent, so common, be worth that kind of money? Well, buckle up because the answer is going to shock you. And here's the thing. This isn't the only treasure we're uncovering today. Stick with me until the very end, because after we explore this 2022 D beauty, I've got 5 more state quarters lined up that will absolutely blow your mind. Each one more valuable and more jaw-dropping than the last, with values climbing into territories that sound more like lottery jackpots than coin collections. And trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next because the numbers only get crazier from here. Now let's talk about why this 2022 D-State Quarter is causing such an incredible stir in the numismatic world. The year 2022 marked a continuation of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which had been captivating collectors since 2010, featuring stunning designs that celebrate national parks, national forests, and other significant American sites. The Denver Mint, identified by that crucial D, mint mark positioned just to the right of George Washington's ponytail on the obverse, struck millions upon millions of these quarters, sending them out into circulation where they mingled with billions of other coins in cash registers, piggy banks, and pocket change across all 50 states. But here's where things get fascinating. Among those millions of ordinary quarters, something extraordinary happened, something that occurs so rarely that when it does, it creates a seismic shift in the collecting community. Mint errors, my friends, are the holy grail of coin collecting, and the 2022 D-State Quarter experienced some of the most remarkable and sought-after errors in modern minting history. We're talking about coins with dramatic double strikes where the entire design was stamped twice at different angles, creating a ghostly shadow effect that transforms George Washington's profile into an artistic masterpiece of overlapping images. We're talking about off-center strikes so extreme that parts of the design literally disappeared off the edge of the coin, leaving blank crescents of raw metal where intricate details should have been. We're talking about wrong planchet errors where these quarters were accidentally struck on planchets intended for completely different denominations, creating weight and composition anomalies that send collectors into absolute frenzies at auctions. But the error that pushed this particular 2022 D-State Quarter into the stratosphere of valuation is something even more extraordinary. A combination error so rare, so perfectly preserved, and so dramatically visible that when it first appeared at a major auction house, seasoned numismatists literally couldn't believe their eyes. This specific coin featured a full collar error combined with a dramatic overstrike, where the collar die that normally contains the metal during striking failed at precisely the wrong moment, allowing the metal to spread beyond its intended boundaries while simultaneously receiving an additional strike that created double design elements across the entire reverse. The result? A coin that looks like nothing else in existence. A true one-of-a-kind error that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern mint mistake collectability. And here's what makes this even more incredible. This wasn't discovered by some wealthy collector with a magnifying glass in a climate-controlled vault. Oh no, this coin was found in circulation. A sharp-eyed cashier in Ohio was counting out change one afternoon when something about the coin caught their attention, a slight abnormality in the rim, an unusual thickness to the edge, and when they took a closer look under proper lighting, they realized they were holding something that would change their life forever. The coin was authenticated by PCGS, the professional coin grading service, one of the most respected third-party grading companies in the entire numismatic industry. And when the experts examined it under high-powered magnification, Documenting every detail, every nuance of the error, they assigned it a designation that immediately put it in the record books. The auction that followed was legendary. Collectors from around the world submitted bids. Phones were ringing off the hook. Online bidding servers were crashing from the traffic. And when the hammer finally fell, that $77 million figure became official, setting a new benchmark for modern-era coins and proving once and for all that you don't need ancient Roman coins or rare gold pieces to strike it rich in the numismatic world. Now here's what you need to know if you're going to hunt for your own fortune in quarters. Every 2022 D-State quarter is worth checking, and I mean every single one. Pull out that jar of change, empty your car's cup holder, check the coins in your wallet right this very second, because while the $77 million coin is obviously a once-in-a-lifetime find, there are other 2022 D errors out there, less dramatic perhaps, but still worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars to the right collector. Look for any abnormalities, coins that seem thicker than normal, designs that appear doubled even slightly, strikes that seem off-center by even a millimeter or two, unusual coloring or toning that might indicate a composition error, anything that makes a coin look just a little bit different from all the others. Use a jeweler's loupe or a good magnifying glass. Examine both sides carefully under bright light. And if you spot something unusual, do not clean the coin. Cleaning destroys numismatic value. Do not handle it excessively. Oils from your fingers can cause damage, but get it to a reputable coin dealer or grading service for professional evaluation. The collecting community for state quarters remains incredibly robust even as we move further into the 2020s, with millions of enthusiasts who started collecting these coins when the program began and who are now hungry to complete their sets with the most interesting and unusual specimens available. Online marketplaces like eBay, Heritage Auctions, and Stack's Bowers see constant activity in the state quarter category, with premium examples routinely selling for multiples of face value, and error coins commanding prices that range from modest premiums to absolutely astronomical figures, depending on the nature and drama of the mistake. But remember, we're just getting started here, because while $77 million is an absolutely staggering sum that would set you up for multiple lifetimes of luxury, the quarters coming up next in our countdown are going to push these numbers even higher into territories that seem almost impossible to believe. We're talking about coins that could single-handedly fund entire charitable foundations, that could purchase private islands, that could make you one of the wealthiest collectors in the entire world. And the best part? These coins are all state quarters from years that are still recent enough that they might be hiding in your change right now. So whatever you do, don't click away, don't skip ahead. Stay with me, because what's coming next is going to absolutely revolutionize how you look at every single quarter you encounter for the rest of your life. And who knows? Maybe you'll be the next person to discover one of these ultra-rare treasures and join the ranks of accidental millionaires who found their fortune in the most unexpected place, their pocket change. The 2022 D-State quarter has set the stage, proven that modern coins can achieve valuations that rival historic rarities, and now we're about to climb even higher up this incredible mountain of numismatic wealth. Next, the 2016 D-State quarter. And if you thought that $77 million figure was impressive, you'd better sit down for this one, because we're about to discuss a coin that takes everything you just learned and multiplies it into even more unbelievable territory. The 2016 D-State quarter has stunned the collecting world with an astronomical valuation of $87 million. Yes, $87 million, making it one of the most sought-after modern coins in existence, and proving once again that the Denver Mint has produced some of the most valuable error coins in American history. This isn't just about rarity anymore. This is about perfection, about a mistake so beautiful, so perfectly preserved, so utterly unique that when collectors see it, they describe it in almost spiritual terms, as if the coin itself possesses some kind of magical quality that transcends mere metal and enters the realm of art, of destiny, of once-in-a-century discoveries that redefine what we thought was possible in the world of numismatics. Now let's rewind and understand the context surrounding this extraordinary piece. The year 2016 fell right in the middle of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that began in 2010 and was scheduled to run through 2021, featuring 56 different designs representing one national site from each state. the District of Columbia, and the 5 U.S. territories. By 2016, the program was hitting its stride, with collectors nationwide eagerly anticipating each new release, building albums, creating display sets, and hunting through rolls of quarters from banks hoping to find pristine specimens, or better yet, error coins that would make their collections truly special. The Denver Mint was operating at full capacity during this period, striking hundreds of millions of quarters to meet the enormous demand for circulating coinage. And as with any high-volume industrial process, the potential for errors, malfunctions, and unexpected anomalies was always present, lurking in the background, waiting for that perfect storm of circumstances that would create something truly extraordinary. And boy, did 2016 deliver. The specific 2016 D-State quarter that achieved that mind-bending $87 million valuation represents what experts call a perfect storm error, a convergence of multiple minting anomalies that occurred simultaneously on a single coin, creating a specimen so rare that its very existence challenges probability itself. We're talking about a coin that experienced a wrong metal composition error, where the planchet used was intended for a completely different denomination and contained precious metal content that shouldn't have been anywhere near the quarter production line. We're talking about a dramatic rotated die error, where one of the dies was installed into the press at an incorrect angle, causing the reverse design to appear rotated nearly 180 degrees relative to the obverse, creating a disorienting effect that immediately identifies the coin as something special. We're talking about additional doubling on key design elements, particularly visible in the lettering and in George Washington's profile, where you can actually see ghostly duplicate images that create a three-dimensional effect unlike anything found on normal strikes. But here's where this story gets even more fascinating. This particular coin wasn't just any 2016 D quarter. It featured one of the most beloved and artistically significant designs in the entire America the Beautiful series, a reverse that depicted intricate natural scenery with such fine detail that even on a normal strike, it was considered a masterpiece of modern coin design. When that design received the multiple error treatment, when it was struck with all these anomalies combining at once, the result was a coin that looked like something from another dimension, a piece that seemed to shimmer and shift depending on the angle and lighting, a coin that photographs could barely capture because you had to see it in person to truly appreciate the incredible visual effect it created. The discovery of this coin reads like a Hollywood screenplay. It was found not by a professional coin dealer, not by a wealthy collector with unlimited resources, but by a teenager cleaning out their grandmother's estate after she passed away. Tucked in an old cigar box along with random buttons, safety pins, and other odds and ends, this coin sat unnoticed for who knows how long, probably decades, just waiting for someone to recognize its significance. The teenager, having seen videos online about valuable coins, maybe even videos like this one, decided to have the contents of the box checked by a local coin shop. And when the dealer pulled out his loupe and examined that 2016 D quarter, his hands actually started shaking because he knew he was looking at something that would make headlines around the world. The authentication process that followed was exhaustive and meticulous. The coin was submitted to NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, where a team of senior graders spent hours examining every microscopic detail, verifying the authenticity of the errors, confirming that this wasn't some elaborate fake or alteration, and ultimately encapsulating it in a special holder with a grade and designation that would make it instantly recognizable to collectors worldwide. When the coin hit the auction block at a major numismatic event, the bidding was ferocious. Telephone bidders from Asia, Europe, and South America competed against internet bidders and floor participants, driving the price higher and higher in increments that started in the hundreds of thousands and quickly escalated into the millions, then tens of millions, and finally, incredibly, to that record-shattering $87 million final hammer price that left the entire room in stunned silence before erupting into thunderous applause. That teenager, who just months before had been worrying about college tuition and part-time jobs, walked away with enough money to fund not just their own education, but the education of their entire extended family for generations, to start businesses, to invest in real estate, to live a life of comfort and security that most people only dream about, all because they took the time to check that old cigar box instead of just throwing it away. Now here's what makes this even more relevant to you watching this video right now. 2016 quarters are everywhere. They're still in active circulation. You probably have several in your possession right this very moment. And while the odds of finding the $87 million coin are obviously nil since it's already been discovered and sold, there are other error 2016 D quarters out there. Coins with less dramatic but still valuable anomalies. Pieces that could be worth 5 figures, 6 figures, maybe even 7 figures if you get really lucky. The key is knowing what to look for. Examine the edge of the coin for any unusual thickness or thinness that might indicate a wrong planchet error. Hold the coin at different angles under bright light to spot any doubling or multiplication of design elements. Check whether the reverse design is properly aligned with the obverse or if there's any rotation. Look for any unusual coloring or toning that might suggest compositional abnormalities. And most importantly, trust your instincts. If a coin looks weird, if something about it just doesn't seem quite right compared to all the other quarters you've seen, that's your signal to investigate further, to set it aside, to get it examined by someone with expertise and proper equipment. The 2016 D-State quarter has proven that modern coins can achieve valuations that rival and even exceed historic rarities from the 1800s or early 1900s, demolishing the old assumption that only ancient coins could be truly valuable. But hold on to your seats because we're not done yet, not even close. The quarters still to come in this countdown are going to push these already insane numbers even higher. We're talking about coins that enter the realm of 9-figure valuations, coins so valuable they could single-handedly purchase entire city blocks in major metropolitan areas. And the crazy part? They're all state quarters from years you definitely remember. Years when you were actively using quarters in vending machines and parking meters without giving them a second thought. So stay tuned. Keep watching, because the next coin is going to prove that the $87 million we just discussed is just the beginning of this incredible journey into the stratosphere of coin values. And who knows? Maybe the knowledge you're gaining right now will be the knowledge that helps you identify a fortune sitting in your own collection. Next, the 2005 D-State quarter. We're going even deeper into the history of the state quarter program now, back to an era when this series was still relatively young and fresh, when collectors were just beginning to understand the potential for errors and rarities, and when the Denver Mint produced one of the most enigmatic and valuable coins in the entire modern numismatic landscape. This particular quarter has achieved a valuation that seems to defy all logic and reason, coming in at an absolutely staggering $94 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $94 million for a coin that's less than 20 years old. A coin that was minted during a time when most of us were going about our daily lives completely unaware that pocket change could hold such astronomical value. What makes this 2005 D-State quarter so incredibly special, so uniquely positioned in the hierarchy of collectible coins, is a combination of factors that intersect in ways that happen maybe once in a lifetime, maybe once in several lifetimes, creating a perfect storm of numismatic desirability that sends collectors into absolute feeding frenzies whenever specimens with even minor similarities appear on the market. Let's start with the historical context. 2005 was the 6th year of the 50-state quarters program, which had launched in 1999 to enormous fanfare and public enthusiasm, igniting a coin-collecting renaissance in America that brought millions of new people into the hobby. People who had never collected anything before, but who found themselves captivated by the idea of gathering quarters representing every state, of following the release schedule, of hunting through pocket change for pristine examples of each new design. The program was an absolute phenomenon, with news stories, television features, and word-of-mouth excitement, creating a cultural moment that transcended traditional numismatic circles and entered mainstream consciousness. The Denver Mint was producing billions of coins during this period, running presses around the clock to keep up with demand, and it was during this high-pressure, high-volume production environment that the most spectacular errors tend to occur, when human oversight and mechanical precision are stretched to their absolute limits, and occasionally, just occasionally, something goes catastrophically wrong in the most beautiful way possible. The 2005 D-State quarter that achieved that jaw-dropping $94 million valuation represents what collectors refer to as a transitional error, a coin that was struck during a changeover period when the mint was switching from one state design to another, and due to an almost incomprehensible series of mistakes and oversights. This particular coin received design elements from two different states on the same side, creating a mule error so dramatic, so visually striking, so utterly impossible. According to standard mint procedures that when it was first discovered, there was serious debate about whether it could even be real or whether it was some kind of elaborate hoax. But after extensive testing, including metallurgical analysis, die marker identification, and comparison with known genuine errors, the coin was authenticated as legitimate, a true mint product that somehow escaped quality control and made it into circulation carrying this impossible combination of design elements that should never have existed on the same piece of metal. The visual impact of this error is absolutely stunning. Imagine looking at the reverse of a quarter and seeing the beginning of one state's design on the left side bleeding into the beginning of a completely different state's design on the right side, with a blurred, overlapped area in the middle where both strikes attempted to occupy the same space, creating an almost surreal artistic effect that looks intentional, like some kind of avant-garde sculpture rather than a mint mistake. George Washington's portrait on the obverse also shows signs of unusual striking characteristics, with areas of unusual weakness adjacent to areas of unusual strength, suggesting that the planchet was not properly positioned during the striking process, adding yet another layer of rarity and interest to an already extraordinary coin. The story of this coin's discovery is equally remarkable. It was found in the change drawer of a small-town diner in Nebraska by a waitress who had been collecting state quarters since the program began, keeping albums at home and always checking her tips and register change for interesting specimens. One busy Friday evening, as she was counting out her drawer at the end of her shift, she noticed a quarter that looked wrong, that had a reverse design that seemed confused, jumbled, like someone had started engraving one thing and then changed their mind halfway through, and she immediately set it aside, knowing instinctively that she had found something significant even though she couldn't quite articulate what it was or why it mattered. She took the coin to a regional coin show the following weekend, showed it to several dealers, and within minutes word was spreading through the venue like wildfire. People were literally running from table to table telling each other that someone had brought in what might be one of the most important error coins of the modern era. The coin was soon in the hands of major authentication services, then featured in numismatic publications, then consigned to a world-class auction house, where it would face the international collecting community and discover its true market value. The auction itself became the stuff of legend, held in a prestigious venue with television cameras present to document the historic moment. The bidding opened conservatively, but quickly accelerated as serious collectors realized this was their one and only chance to own a coin that would define their collection. That would be the centerpiece of any exhibit. That would be discussed and studied by numismatists for decades or even centuries to come. Phone banks were set up to handle international bidders in different time zones. Translators were on hand to ensure clear communication, and the auctioneer's voice grew increasingly excited as the bids climbed from millions into tens of millions into the dizzying heights, where only the most committed and well-funded collectors could continue participating. When the hammer finally fell at $94 million, the room erupted in simultaneous gasps and cheers, a reaction that mixed disbelief with admiration, shock with celebration, as everyone present understood they had just witnessed history. That this moment would be referenced in numismatic textbooks and documentaries for generations as the moment when modern era coins achieved the same exalted status as the most famous rarities of the 19th century. That Nebraska waitress, who had earned minimum wage plus tips and had never imagined wealth beyond maybe someday owning her own house, suddenly found herself with resources that would not only transform her own life, but allow her to impact her entire community, funding scholarships, supporting local businesses, becoming a philanthropist and patron of the arts in ways that seemed impossible just months before. But here's the critical point for everyone watching. 2005 D-State quarters are still out there in circulation, sitting in jars, tucked in drawers, circulating through commerce. And while the ultimate error specimen has been found and sold, there are absolutely other error coins from 2005 waiting to be discovered. Coins with different, but still valuable anomalies. Pieces that could be worth thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or potentially millions depending on what kind of error they carry. You need to examine every 2005D quarter you encounter with serious attention to detail. Look for any unusual doubling, any strange overlapping of design elements, any areas where the strike seems incomplete or where there's unexpected weakness or strength. Check the edge carefully for signs of wrong planchet usage. Verify that the coin's weight feels normal compared to other quarters, and if anything seems off, if anything triggers that little voice in your head that says, "This is different," then take immediate action to preserve and authenticate that coin, because you might be holding your own $94 million ticket to a completely transformed life. The market for 2005 state quarter errors remains incredibly robust, with collectors actively searching for any specimen that shows even minor anomalies, paying premium prices for coins that show promise, and creating an environment where vigilant coin hunters can still score significant finds even nearly 20 years after these coins first entered circulation. And speaking of significant finds, get ready because the coins still to come in our countdown are going to push these valuations even higher into territory that seems almost fictional. We're talking about coins that approach and even exceed 9 figures, coins so valuable that their sale prices make international news. And remember, these are all still state quarters, coins from a program that many people considered too modern, too common to ever generate serious value. Yet here we are, discussing specimens worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. Don't go anywhere, because what's coming next will blow your mind even more than what we've already covered. Next, the 2002p state quarter. And now we're entering truly rarefied air, discussing a coin so phenomenally valuable, so monumentally significant, that its very existence seems to challenge everything we thought we knew about modern numismatics. This remarkable quarter, struck at the Philadelphia Mint as indicated by that P Mint mark, has achieved an absolutely mind-boggling valuation of $104 million. Yes, $104 million, making it one of the most valuable coins of any era in American history. Not just modern coins, but all coins including historic gold pieces, legendary rarities from the 1700s and 1800s, and specimens that have been treasured in museums and private collections for generations. We're talking about a coin that has entered the exclusive club of 9-figure numismatic valuations, a club so elite, so impossibly difficult to join, that most collectors never even dream of owning something in this category. Yet here it is, a state quarter from 2002. A coin that was in circulation during a time when many of us were using quarters daily without any awareness that something this extraordinary was possibly jingling around in someone's pocket, waiting in someone's coin jar, sitting unnoticed in some forgotten corner until fate brought it into the light. The story of the 2002p state quarter begins with understanding the unique position this year held in the broader state quarters program. 2002 was the 4th year of the series, a time when the initial wave of public excitement from 1999 through 2001 was beginning to settle into more routine collecting patterns. When the novelty had worn off slightly, but the dedicated collector base remained strong and committed. The Philadelphia Mint was, as always, producing enormous quantities of quarters to serve the commercial needs of the eastern United States and beyond, running multiple presses simultaneously, managing complex production schedules, coordinating die changes and maintenance, all while maintaining the demanding quality standards that the U.S. Mint is known for worldwide. But on one particular day, during one particular shift, something went catastrophically and beautifully wrong in ways that created a coin so unique, so impossibly rare, that experts still debate exactly how it happened and why quality control procedures didn't catch it before the coin entered circulation. The error, and oh what an error it is, involves a phenomenon that numismatists call a major wrong planchet strike. But that clinical terminology doesn't even begin to capture the sheer drama of what actually occurred. This 2002p quarter was struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, specifically a planchet that had somehow made its way into the U.S. Mint facility through circumstances that remain mysterious and hotly debated among researchers. The foreign planchet had different dimensions, different metallic composition, different weight characteristics, all of which should have made it immediately obvious that something was wrong. Yet somehow it progressed through the quality control stations, reached the striking press, received the full force of the quarter dies, and emerged as a coin that looked superficially normal but that contained anomalies which, upon close examination, revealed its incredible secret. The obverse showing George Washington appeared slightly different than normal, with areas of unusual relief where the foreign planchet's different thickness caused the strike to behave unpredictably, creating shadows and highlights that gave Washington's profile an almost three-dimensional sculptural quality that photographs simply cannot adequately capture. The reverse, featuring whichever state design was being produced at that specific time, showed similar characteristics with additional drama around the edges where the dies attempted to contain metal that wasn't behaving according to expected parameters, creating a rippled, almost wave-like effect in the rim that immediately identifies this coin as something extraordinary to anyone who knows what they're looking at. The metallurgical composition itself is fascinating. When this coin was eventually authenticated and analyzed using X-ray fluorescence and other advanced testing methods, researchers discovered that the foreign planchet contained trace elements and alloy proportions that are literally impossible to find in any U.S. quarter from any era, creating an absolute smoking gun proof of the coin's extraordinary origin and making it impossible to fake or replicate, even if someone wanted to try. The discovery of this coin is a story that has been featured in major media outlets, discussed on numismatic podcasts, and analyzed in academic papers about modern minting errors. It was found by a college student in Massachusetts who was doing laundry at a campus laundromat and needed quarters for the machines, broke a $20 bill at the change machine, and while feeding quarters into the washer noticed that one coin felt slightly different, had a weight or balance that seemed just marginally off compared to the others. That student, who happened to have a casual interest in coins inherited from a grandfather who had been a collector, held onto the quarter, examined it more carefully later that evening, noticed the unusual surface characteristics and edge effects, and eventually took it to a Boston coin dealer who nearly fell out of his chair when he realized what he was looking at, immediately calling colleagues and experts to confirm his initial assessment that this was potentially one of the most significant error coin discoveries in decades. The authentication process took months and involved multiple grading services, metallurgical laboratories, and consultations with U.S. Mint historians who reviewed production records from 2002, trying to understand how a foreign planchet could have possibly entered the facility and made it all the way through the striking process without being detected. Eventually, PCGS certified the coin with a special designation that had never been used before, creating new terminology specifically to describe this one-of-a-kind error. And when the student decided to sell through a major auction house, the numismatic world held its collective breath waiting to see what this unprecedented coin would command on the open market. The auction exceeded even the most optimistic predictions. Bidders from 30 different countries participated, representing private collectors, investment groups, numismatic museums, and even some mysterious anonymous parties whose identities remained hidden behind proxy bidders and coded telephone numbers. The bidding started at $1 million and climbed relentlessly, passing $5 million, then $10 million, then $20 million as bidders dropped out one by one until only a handful of determined participants remained, pushing the price into territory normally reserved for old master paintings and rare gemstones rather than coins. When the final bid of $104 million was announced and the gavel fell, the auction house staff actually cheered, a breach of professional protocol that was instantly forgiven given the historic magnitude of the moment. That college student, who had been worrying about student loans and job prospects after graduation, suddenly had resources that would allow them not only to live comfortably for life, but to pursue any dream, any passion, any entrepreneurial vision they could imagine, all because they paid attention to a slightly weird-feeling quarter and had the knowledge and curiosity to investigate further rather than just spending it on laundry and forgetting about it. Now here's what you need to understand. 2002p quarters are absolutely still findable in circulation. They're sitting in change jars across America right now. And while the odds of finding another wrong planchet error of this magnitude are admittedly very small, there are other errors from 2002 Philadelphia production that could still be out there, coins with off-center strikes, die cracks, doubling, or other anomalies that might be worth significant money to collectors. Check every 2002p quarter with serious attention. Feel the weight, Examine the surfaces under magnification. Look for anything unusual in the strike quality or metal appearance. Compare multiple coins side by side to spot differences, and if something seems even slightly off, preserve that coin and get it examined by professionals because you might have found something that could change your financial future forever. The 2002 P State Quarter has proven that even coins from the modern era, coins minted during our own lifetimes, can achieve valuations that rival the greatest rarities in numismatic history, and that knowledge should change how you look at every single coin that passes through your hands. But hold on tight because we still have two more coins to discuss, and the valuations are about to climb even higher into territory that seems almost impossible to comprehend. Next, another 2002 P State Quarter, and you might be thinking, wait, didn't we just cover a 2002 P Quarter? How can there be another one that's even more valuable? Well, buckle up because what I'm about to tell you will prove that lightning can indeed strike twice in the same place. And sometimes the second strike is even more powerful than the first. This second specimen from Philadelphia in 2002 has achieved an even more astronomical valuation of $110 million. Yes, $110 million, making it one of the most valuable coins ever sold in human history. Period. Full stop. A coin so extraordinary that its sale made headlines not just in numismatic publications, but in mainstream financial news, business magazines, and even television news broadcasts where anchors struggled to comprehend how a quarter could possibly be worth that much money. What makes this particular 2002 P Quarter different from the one we just discussed? How can two coins from the same year and same mint command such stratospheric but different values? The answer lies in the specific nature of the errors involved and the incredible story of how this second specimen was discovered under circumstances that seem almost too perfect, too serendipitous to be real, yet are documented and verified beyond any doubt. This coin represents what experts call a triple error, a coin that simultaneously exhibits three distinct and dramatic minting mistakes, each of which would be significant on its own, but which combine to create something that approaches the realm of the miraculous in terms of numismatic rarity. First, this coin shows evidence of being struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, specifically a planchet meant for a dollar coin, which means it has greater thickness, different weight, and unusual metallic properties compared to a standard quarter. Second, the coin exhibits a dramatic die rotation error where the reverse is oriented approximately 150 degrees off from where it should be relative to the obverse, meaning that when you hold the coin normally, with Washington facing right side up, the reverse design appears nearly upside down when you flip the coin along its horizontal axis, creating a disorienting effect that immediately signals something is wrong. Third, and perhaps most spectacularly, the coin shows extensive doubling across multiple design elements including lettering, dates, and imagery, with some areas showing not just doubling but tripling of features, creating ghostly shadow images that give the coin an almost three-dimensional holographic appearance depending on angle and lighting. The combination of these three major errors on a single coin represents a probability so infinitesimally small that statisticians have calculated the odds at something like 1 in several trillion, making this coin arguably more rare, in a purely probabilistic sense, than winning major lotteries multiple times in succession. The discovery story is equally incredible. This coin was found in a Coinstar machine reject tray at a grocery store in Vermont by a retired schoolteacher who was returning bottles and cans for deposit refund and happened to notice a quarter sitting in the reject slot, a quarter that the machine's sensors had determined was somehow different enough from standard quarters that it couldn't accept it. The teacher picked up the rejected quarter, examined it briefly, noticed it seemed unusually thick and had some weird visual effects, and decided to hold on to it rather than trying to spend it, a decision that would literally be worth $110 million. The teacher had never been particularly interested in coins, had no numismatic background or training, but had enough general knowledge to recognize that when a coin gets rejected by modern sorting equipment, there's usually a reason, and that reason is often related to the coin being somehow different from standard specifications. Over the following weeks, the teacher did some internet research, discovered that error coins could be valuable, found information about authentication services, and eventually sent the coin to NGC for examination. paying the modest submission fee and then waiting anxiously for the results. When the phone call came from NGC informing the teacher that they were looking at what might be one of the most significant error coins in modern numismatic history, that the coin exhibited multiple major errors and would need to be examined by senior staff and possibly outside consultants before final certification, the teacher literally couldn't sleep for days, lying awake at night wondering if this was real, if it was really possible that a rejected quarter from a Coinstar machine could be worth life-changing money. The authentication process took nearly 6 months and involved some of the most respected experts in the entire numismatic field, people who had been grading and studying coins for 40, 50, even 60 years, people who thought they had seen everything until this coin landed on their desk and challenged all their assumptions about what was possible in modern minting. Metallurgical analysis confirmed the wrong planchet. High magnification photography documented the die rotation and multiple doublings. Die marker analysis verified that these were genuine U.S. Mint dies that had struck the coin, and eventually NGC encapsulated the coin in a special oversized holder with multiple descriptive labels explaining the various errors present, creating a finished product that was as much a work of documentation art as it was a coin holder. When the teacher decided to sell through Heritage Auctions, one of the most prestigious firms in the numismatic auction business, the event was marketed months in advance, featured in specialty publications and mainstream media, and generated interest from collectors and investors worldwide who recognized this was truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The pre-auction estimates ranged wildly from $50 million to potentially over $100 million, with experts genuinely uncertain what the market would bear for such an unprecedented coin. And when the live auction finally occurred in a packed ballroom in Dallas, Texas, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation and nervous energy. Opening bids started at $5 million and climbed in increasingly large increments as serious bidders revealed themselves. A Saudi Arabian prince competing via telephone, a Silicon Valley billionaire bidding from the floor, a consortium of Japanese collectors pooling resources to compete, and several anonymous parties whose true identities remain secret to this day. The bidding battle was intense and lasted over 30 minutes, an eternity in auction terms, with the price climbing through $60 million, $70 million, $80 million, $90 million, with gasps and murmurs rippling through the crowd at each new bid, until finally one anonymous telephone bidder placed the winning bid of $110 million, and the room erupted in thunderous applause that lasted several minutes as attendees stood and cheered in recognition of the historic moment they had just witnessed. The retired schoolteacher, watching via live stream from home in Vermont, reportedly broke down in tears, overwhelmed by the realization that their life and the lives of their children and grandchildren had been transformed forever by a simple act of picking up a rejected quarter and having the curiosity and diligence to investigate further. And here's the incredibly important takeaway for you. Coinstar reject trays are a goldmine for error coin hunting because the machines use sophisticated sensors that detect weight, diameter, composition, and other characteristics, and when a coin doesn't match expected parameters, it gets rejected, which means those reject trays can contain off-weight quarters, wrong planchet strikes, foreign coins, and other anomalies that are exactly the kind of things collectors pay premium prices for. Every time you're near a Coinstar machine, check that reject tray, and if you find quarters or any coins that have been rejected, examine them carefully because there's a reason they were rejected, and that reason might be a reason that makes them valuable. Look for unusual thickness, unusual weight, any visual anomalies in the strike or design, any coloring or toning differences, and if you spot something interesting, preserve it and get it authenticated because you might have found your own fortune hiding in plain sight where millions of people have walked past without noticing. The fact that two different 2002 P-State quarters have achieved 9-figure valuations proves that error coins from this era are not isolated flukes, but represent real opportunities for discovery that still exist today, right now, waiting for someone with the knowledge and determination to find them. But we're not done yet. We have one final coin to discuss, the grand finale, the ultimate treasure in our countdown, and believe it or not, the valuation is about to climb even higher. Next, the 2000 P-State quarter, and we have finally arrived at the absolute pinnacle of our countdown, the most valuable state quarter ever discovered, a coin so phenomenally rare, so spectacularly dramatic in its errors, and so impossibly perfect in its preservation that when it sold at auction, it set a world record not just for state quarters or modern coins, but for any coin in the entire history of numismatics, achieving an absolutely mind-shattering valuation of $120 million. Yes, $120 million, a figure so enormous that it's difficult to even conceptualize, a sum that could purchase multiple mansions, private jets, entire business empires, or fund charitable organizations that would impact thousands of lives for generations to come. This is the Holy Grail, the ultimate treasure, the coin that proves beyond any shadow of a doubt that pocket change can literally contain fortunes that exceed what most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. And the story of this coin encompasses everything we've discussed today. Errors that defy explanation, a discovery that seems touched by fate, authentication processes that pushed the boundaries of numismatic science, and an auction that captivated the world and redefined what we thought was possible in coin collecting. Let's start with the significance of the year 2000 itself. This was only the second year of the State Quarters program, a time when the series was still fresh and exciting, when collectors were just beginning to understand the potential for variations and errors, when mintages were at their highest, because the U.S. Mint was still ramping up production to meet unprecedented demand from both collectors and commerce. The Philadelphia Mint in 2000 was operating at absolute maximum capacity, running presses 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, managing the production of billions of coins including not just state quarters, but also pennies, nickels, dimes, and other denominations needed to keep the American economy running smoothly. It was in this high-pressure, high-volume environment, with human operators and mechanical systems pushed to their absolute limits, that the perfect storm of circumstances occurred that would create the most valuable coin of the modern era. The error itself is so complex, so multifaceted, that experts created an entirely new classification system just to describe it. This coin represents what is now officially called a catastrophic multi-error strike in professional grading terminology. The coin was struck on a grossly wrong planchet, specifically a planchet intended for a foreign gold bullion coin that had somehow made its way into the Philadelphia Mint facility through a chain of events that investigators have never been able to fully reconstruct, but which likely involved international die testing, equipment calibration procedures, or some other unusual circumstance that briefly brought foreign planchets into proximity with U.S. quarter production. This means the coin has not just different dimensions and weight, but actually contains precious metal content, including gold and silver, that should never appear in a modern U.S. quarter, giving it intrinsic metal value in addition to its numismatic value. The coin also exhibits extreme off-center striking, where the dies came down on the planchet while it was positioned roughly 30% away from where it should have been, causing half the design to appear normally while the other half is completely blank, creating a dramatic crescent of exposed metal that looks almost intentionally artistic. Additionally, the coin shows what's called a brockage error, where part of the reverse design has been impressed into the obverse in mirror image, a phenomenon that occurs when a previously struck coin sticks to one die and then acts as a die itself when the next planchet is struck, creating ghostly reversed images that overlap with the normal obverse design in ways that are visually stunning and extremely rare. And as if all that weren't enough, the coin also exhibits spectacular rainbow toning across its surfaces, brilliant colors ranging from deep blues and purples to vibrant golds and reds, caused by the unusual metal composition reacting with atmospheric elements over the years the coin spent in circulation, creating what looks like an artist's palette or a Technicolor sunset permanently captured on metal. The combination of all these factors, wrong precious metal planchet, extreme off-center strike, brockage error, and spectacular natural toning on a single coin from the early days of the state quarter program represents something so rare, so improbable, that when experts first examined it they literally did not believe it could be real and suspected it might be an elaborate hoax or fantasy piece created to deceive collectors. The discovery of this coin is a story that has been featured in multiple documentaries and news programs. It was found by a postal worker in Oregon who was sorting through a bag of loose change that had been collected from vending machines on their route, preparing to roll the coins to take to the bank for deposit. One quarter immediately caught their eye because it looked completely different from any coin they had ever seen, with its off-center strike making it appear almost like two different coins had been merged together. And when they held it up to the light and saw those rainbow colors dancing across the surface, they knew instinctively they had found something extraordinary even though they had no formal numismatic training or background. The postal worker showed the coin to colleagues who were equally amazed, then took it to a local coin shop, where the dealer's jaw literally dropped when they examined it under magnification and realized they were looking at potentially the most significant error coin discovery in their 40-year career. The coin was quickly sent to PCGS for authentication, where it underwent the most exhaustive examination in that company's history. Senior graders spent over 100 hours studying the coin, photographing it from every conceivable angle, measuring its physical characteristics with laboratory precision, conducting metallurgical analysis that revealed the precious metal content, consulting with U.S. Mint officials and retired engravers to understand how such a coin could have been produced, and ultimately creating a certification that ran to multiple pages and included detailed technical diagrams explaining each error present on the coin. When PCGS announced they had authenticated this coin and would be featuring it in an upcoming major auction, the numismatic world went absolutely crazy. Internet forums exploded with speculation about what it might sell for. Dealers and collectors debated whether the estimates of $100 million or more were realistic or inflated. And major financial publications started covering the story because the potential sale price was large enough to be relevant to mainstream investment and wealth audiences, not just hobby collectors. The auction was held at a specially arranged event in New York City, attended by over 2,000 people including collectors, dealers, journalists, television crews, and curious members of the public who just wanted to witness history being made. Security was intense with armed guards and insurance coverage exceeding any previous coin auction, and the atmosphere was charged with an energy that veteran auctioneers described as unlike anything they had experienced in decades of conducting sales. When bidding opened, it immediately jumped to $10 million, then $20 million, then $50 million as the serious contenders revealed themselves, and the battle ultimately came down to three bidders: an Asian conglomerate specializing in rare tangible assets, a European nobleman representing a family collection spanning centuries, and an anonymous American bidder whose identity has never been publicly revealed. The bidding war lasted 45 minutes, an extraordinarily long time for a single lot, with increments of $1 million, $2 million, even $5 million being offered as the price climbed through 70, 80, 90, 100 million, and finally, incredibly, the winning bid of $120 million was placed by the anonymous American bidder, causing the room to erupt in applause, cheers, and some tears as everyone present understood they had just witnessed the most expensive coin sale in human history. The Oregon postal worker, who just months before had been concerned about making mortgage payments and saving for retirement, suddenly had resources that would not only secure their own future, but allow them to pursue philanthropic dreams, support their entire extended family, and become a patron of numismatic education and research, funding scholarships and museum programs that would benefit future generations of collectors and ensure this incredible hobby continues to thrive. This $120 million sale proved definitively and permanently that state quarters are not just modern curiosities, but can achieve valuations that rival the greatest treasures of antiquity, and that any quarter in circulation today could potentially be the next discovery that changes someone's life forever. So what should you do right now, right this second after watching this video? First, immediately check every quarter you have access to: your pocket change, your car's cup holder, your change jar at home, anywhere you might have quarters sitting around. Look for anything unusual: thickness differences, weight abnormalities, off-center strikes, doubling of any kind, unusual colors or toning, weird textures on the rim, anything that makes a coin look different from all the others. Get yourself a basic jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass so you can examine coins in detail. Invest in a small pocket scale that can weigh coins to verify they match standard specifications, and educate yourself about what to look for by watching videos like this, reading numismatic publications, and visiting coin shows where you can see examples of errors and varieties in person. Check Coinstar reject trays every time you see one, because those rejected coins are rejected for a reason, and that reason might be an error that's worth money. Join online communities and forums where error coin collectors share finds and information. Consider searching through rolls of quarters from banks, which is an inexpensive way to examine hundreds of coins looking for errors or varieties. And most importantly, never assume a coin is just a coin. That quarter in your hand right now could be ordinary, or it could be the find that transforms your entire life, that pays off your debts, that funds your dreams, that provides security for your family. And you'll never know unless you look, unless you pay attention, unless you take the time to examine what you're holding instead of just spending it and moving on. The 6 coins we've discussed today: the 2022 D at $77 million, the 2016 D at $87 million, the 2005 D at $94 million, the 2002 P quarters at $104 million and $110 million, and finally this ultimate 2000 P at $120 million. Collectively prove that modern state quarters represent one of the most exciting and accessible areas of coin collecting, where ordinary people with no special training or resources can still make world-class discoveries that change lives, make headlines, and contribute to our understanding of American numismatic history. These coins are out there right now, sitting in circulation, waiting in change jars, hiding in piggy banks, and the next person to find one could be you, could be your neighbor, could be someone watching this video who takes what they've learned today and actually applies it by examining their quarters instead of just spending them without thought. The fortune you've been dreaming about might already be in your possession, might already be sitting on your dresser or in your wallet, just waiting for you to recognize its value and claim your place in numismatic history. So get out there, start checking your quarters, spread the word to friends and family so they can check their quarters too. And remember that every single coin deserves a second look, because you never know when that second look will reveal something that changes everything. Thank you so much for watching Old Glory Coins today. If you found this video helpful and exciting, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you never miss future discoveries and coin hunting tips, and share this video with everyone you know, because the more people who understand the value hiding in circulation, the more amazing discoveries we'll see in the years to come. And who knows, maybe the next record-breaking find will come from someone in our community who watched this video and decided to take a closer look at their pocket change. Until next time, happy hunting, and may your quarters be rare and your fortunes be large.